Okay, here we are at Metal Talk. We're here at the Camden Underworld.
Hello.
Tonight. Blaze Bayley, he's headlining.
Hello.
Hi Blaze, how are you?
Alright.
Good, good. And you got a new album out, Infinite Entanglement.
Yes. Infinite Entanglement is part one of a trilogy. So there are 3 albums, Infinite Entanglement, then part 2 and part 3. And I made it so I could release 1st of March this year, 2016, then 1st of March next year, and then 1st of March 2018. And the tours that we're booking, our European tours, all start 1st of March as well, or around that time. And it's a story that came as I was working on something else. I should have been doing the sleeve notes for my best of album, Soundtracks of My Life. And I've done a song with a friend of mine called Rick Plester, who used to be in a band called Dark Symphony, and called Eating Children, and it was just a few scraps left over, but it was the seed of something. And as I was writing the sleeve notes to go with the Soundtracks of My Life, which is like a compilation album, then I got sidetracked and I started writing this parts of this story that came to me, which is set about 100 years in the future. And it's kind of the grandson of the character William Black that I had on my 10th Dimension album, which was a concept album. So it all kind of mixed together. So this character does not know if he is human. He's on a long-term space mission. It's a one-way mission, because you don't know what's at the other end. There's no plan to come back. There's a plan to go and find this planet and send reports back. And he asks this question: am I human? And he doesn't know. And this is the centre of the story. And everything else, all the other songs, revolve around what's happening to him on this part of going and what he's giving up and leaving behind, and asking himself the question why he volunteered for this in the first place. And then part 2 follows on from that. That's the next thing that happens. As he gradually starts to come to terms, he starts to realise, and in our song Human, it is, well, what makes you decide who you are? What is the internal process that says, I am Blaze Bayley? What makes me Blaze Bayley is these lifetime of experience and all of this, but am I just a collection of water and protein, or is there something more? What is my consciousness? And if you were to exist, and it will be possible to exist with your consciousness outside of a human body, in a mechanical body, well, are you still human? Because your consciousness is the same. Your thought process, everything is the same as it was. So this struggle to know your identity and to find what it is to be human, and also as a metaphor because of the horrible situation we have with immigration and things like this, and all of the terrible things that's happened in Syria, misplaced peoples and stuff like that, all of that, and the kind of prejudice that we instantly have against people. We don't want to regard them as human. We want to see them as different. So in the future, my thought is that when we have mechanical bodies, or bodies which are partly mechanical, then will we say, well, they're not human? Will we try to look down on them? Or will they be superior to us and look down on us? No, I am human because I am the development. I'm past Homo sapien. I'm with the human now. You're not. So what will happen? I'm very intrigued by this idea. So it's a kind of science fiction story, and it tells this, and it's a mad idea.
What inspired the whole idea of this? Did you read a lot of science fiction yourself?
I've always read science fiction, and in Maiden, then we had a song called Future Real. Back in Wolfsbane, we had All Hell's Breaking Loose at Cathy Wilson's place, which is directly inspired by the 50s film Invaders from Mars. So I've always been interested in that. Because internet now is so available, then you can really keep up, because you can get these news websites where you find out just things you want to find out about. So I can keep up with what's happening in physics. It sounds terribly nerdy, doesn't it? Quantum physics and cosmology and neurology and brain science and all of these things I can keep up with, and it all goes in and it then kind of wiggles back out in a different way. So I've always been interested in science fiction, and Philip K. Dick is my very favourite writer, and he did Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, which the movie Blade Runner is based on. The actual book is completely does your head in compared to the film, you know. So that's it really. That struggle, and so far everybody has liked the album. I've got a lot of voice actors on it, and a little bit of narration, and the story dips in and out, and you have to really catch it. And at the end of it, there'll be a book, because most of it comes from this book that I'm working on, and all the ideas for the songs come from the text in the book.
And you've also gone, it's got a lot more of a progressive metal sound you've gone for in this album.
I don't know. I don't even think about it. I try now to find three elements that work together. If the lyric and the melody and the music can fit together, it's a perfect storm, and that song will last. And it's rare, and it's a constant search, and it's just I just feel you're searching. You find the pieces, just like, you know, bits of consciousness, or somebody gives you the pieces like butterflies on a summer's day, and you have to try and fit these pieces together. And if you can fit together a melody and a lyric and the music, then you've got something classic. So even though I am metal, that's it. There's no way around that. I just am metal. But I'm also music. So, and I have this vast amount of experience in music. So I'm not trying to make a heavy album, I'm not trying to make a light album, I'm trying to make a musical album that expresses every emotion, usually the darkness or the triumph of the human spirit. And I'm trying to find the way to express that. And metal and the things that it offers as a genre is not limited, it's unlimited really. For me, and the way I choose to express my art, that's it, it's with that. And you can broadly say it's metal. You listen to it and I hope you say it's a good album, not it's a metal album.
Yeah.
So that's what I hope that's what I hope you think of it. But I don't mind you saying it's a metal album at all, because I am metal. There's no I accept who I am and what I am. I'm not some arty-farty.
And what have the band members brought to it? Because obviously you've got guys from Absolver, like Chris Appleton and everything guys. And what have they brought into the sound of Blaze Bayley?
We've toured together. No, this is our this I think was our second full European stint, and Chris and I have always got along musically. And when it came to the album, I just said to the lads, I've got a very clear idea of what I want to do, and do you want to be a part of it? And that was it, really. And they have a good amount of experience in the studio with their Absolver records, and if you listen to those records, just the actual production and sound of them is very, very clear, and you get the energy from it. It's not over polished, but it's not amateur. It's a great sounding record, and the ideas of the songs really come to life. And the other thing is, I'm a real fan of Chris's voice, because for me, rock, in the broadest sense, what makes rock great is distinctive singers. You're talking about from Jagger to Ronnie James Dio, to Bruce Dickinson, to Bryan Adams, to all of these voices, which aren't great technical voices, but they have something about them. And so Chris has something very distinctive, and he has an energy in his voice which I started to hear as the choruses and the backup voice to my lead, and I thought this is going to be a fantastic counter because it's such a distinctive voice. If he sings another part, you know it's another singer. It's not just a harmony, you know it's someone else. And if you use it as a texture to put into the record, you know them, you're getting a feeling out of it. And my search is for emotion. I'm trying to make you feel something. Whether I succeed in that, I don't know. But that's what I'm trying to do. Whether you put that CD in your car, or you put the lights out and put the headphones on, if any of us ever get an hour to ourselves where we can just listen to the CD, it's almost impossible. But if you get that chance, then I want you to feel something. I want you to go, oh yeah, I feel aggressive, or I feel really down, or oh yeah, I can understand that character's feeling, I felt like that. I want to elicit some emotion from you. I want to connect with you with that music. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm blending these voices together and the music and finding the beat, and then when it comes to recording my vocal, finding the particular tone and breath to fit into that place that makes it make sense, that brings it to life. And that's it.
Done a very good job. You just mentioned like Infinite Entanglement is the start of a trilogy, and you've got these plans put in place for the next 3 years, you know, so obviously there's a lot of planning in there. So are the songs already written for the next 2 albums?
Well, the way that we've done it is we've gone, when it was obvious to me that it wasn't one long album, but it was in fact three parts of the story, then we looked at it in a very different way. We looked, right, we are writing 3 albums. We don't know which songs are for which album until we get closer to the album. So we had like 16 ideas that we felt very confident in, and then we chose 10 for Infinite Entanglement. And then that left some over, and we've started working now, so we have another bunch of ideas, which we don't know if that's for album 2 or album 3. I think I have the last song on the last album. I think I have that. And there's a demo of it, and it's, if the story goes the way I think it does, that is the last song on the last album.
So would the ultimate dream be, at the end of the trilogy, you'd be going out just playing tracks from these 3 albums?
I think, realistically, I respect my fans, and to do a show where you just do that's just a show, that's not a tour. Because when I go and see somebody on tour, I want to hear some of the favourite songs. You know, even though I've been doing some of those songs for a long time, you know, we just don't rehearse the ones we know so well. And the reaction you get from the fans always makes them feel new. So I think, yes, I would like to go and play, you know, a lot of the new songs. But when I was in Maiden, I've just followed their example really from Steve. That when I was in Maiden, then Steve would fit, we'd have 5 or 6 new songs in the set list, and then you mix that up with your classic songs, you try to choose different favourites, and that's what we've done. And so far, all of the fans that have seen us have said it's a nicely balanced set list, and they've enjoyed the new songs. And it was very important that when we rehearsed, the songs had to make sense live. We don't use any backing tapes, we don't use a click track, anything. It's all trying to lock in, the 4 of us to lock in together, into the tempo, into the time, bang on, smack, bosh. So that's what we're trying to do. But we don't want any other machines in there. We want our feeling.
And that's the way you keep it live.
When it goes well, man, there is nothing else like it. There is nothing like that feeling of watching a band where they are as tight as anything with no machines. It is a feeling. It's incredible. So that's what we chase. It's not possible to do that every night. Nobody can do that. You can't find it. You can't have the right sound, the right this, all of that. Your preparation wasn't right. But you're chasing that. You're chasing. You're chasing the winning goal in a World Cup, and that's what you're trying to get every night. And sometimes you get it, and you go, "Was that us that played that gig?" And it's a fantastic film.
I think tonight is like date 64 on his European tours. What's the highlights been for you so far?
The Brno in Czech Republic wasn't. I didn't expect too much, but it's a fantastic sounding room. It's a small room, and
great city as well.
Yeah, it is a great city. We never see much of the cities, but and Chris was able. Because he takes care of everything on the stage. The less I'm involved, the better. So he was able to get this fantastic on stage sound, and we had a brilliant out front sound, and it was just. And I've got so many loyal fans in the Czech Republic, and a lot of people travelled from all over to see that gig, and it was just magical. And the thing was, we'd had such a stressful day the day before. So stressful. We did a really good gig, but it was so stressful to pull it together because of all the circumstances building up to it. And the day before that was a really long travel day after 5 in a row, and it was a tough, man. So for some, and it's the arse end of the tour. We're in Brno, and you're all feeling pretty burnt out, and something happens, and it goes bang, and you're in the first chorus of Infinite Entanglement, and you're thinking, this is fucking alright, and you're in the second chorus of Infinite Entanglement, and you go, fucking hell, I feel like a god. And then you're going into 1,000 Years and Future Real, and then you're an human, and you fucking pound it out, and it's the right speed, and everything's working, and you go, fuck you, we're gonna have it, bang! And it just lit up, man. It just lit up, and the confidence just rose up, and it was fantastic. So that was one highlight, and the reaction to the fans have been fantastic. We did a very stressful day, but an absolutely fantastic gig was Harry B. James in Stockholm. The support band pissed us about, went on late, so we had to go on late. Our fans missed the train home and stuff like that. But the gig itself, the reaction from the fans in Stockholm, was unbelievable. It was absolutely fantastic, and just there's so many highlights, so many small gigs that we played. Fuel at the start of the tour. We played a tiny little gig down there in Cardiff, I think it is.
Cardiff.
Fuel, Cardiff Fuel. It's a tiny little gig, and so many fans had come, man. They travelled from all over, right down in the West Country, everything. And it was the reaction for the first part of the tour was just unreal. The send-off we got to go to Europe was like, wow, man, remember, we'll never forget that night at Fuel. Tiny place, but it was just like, oh.
And you are fortunate, you do travel the world with your band, and you got some dates lined up in Brazil coming up.
Yeah.
And I think it was one day he was going to be with Paul Diano, another former Iron Maiden.
He's in hospital now.
Yeah, I was going to say,
he's in hospital. I've texted him, and he's doing okay. He's had a lot of tests. They've found some things wrong with him. They're treating him. The treatment seems to be going positive. So we can only hope for the best, really.
Yeah, wish more the best.
I've worked with him so much over the last 3 years. We've played all over. We've done Sweden Rock Festival. We headlined that together. And we've done loads of gigs. We've been all over Russia together. We've been to Russia twice, I think, with me and Paul. And it's just, we've been over to the other side of hell and back together. It's been to Australia, all of that. So we've had a really good run of shows. So we have a kind of camaraderie there that when we're working together, like, we don't really put up with each other's bullshit. But if there's a slightest hint that anything goes wrong, we're like this. Together you can't get past it. You know what I mean? So it's like that. And so it's a tough show, and I really enjoy doing it. You know, but I think it's a kind of thing. Sadly, it's a thing that people see once and that's it. Because you've only got a certain set list you can do. That's it. But it's been great fun. So you know, I'm hoping that Paul recovers. What I really want to happen, and a lot of fans ask me about this, is what I want to happen is a Maiden gig, like a one-off, where it's the three singers.
That's a great idea.
It's never going to happen in a million years.
I'm sure Iron Maiden fans would love to see that.
It will never happen, but all the fans I speak to about it goes, and man, can you imagine the arguments in the pub? Oh, Paul's the best. Oh, he's Bruce. Oh,
well, the one-off Iron Maiden fest. Why not?
Man, I would absolutely. I'd be there, man.
Yeah.
But I'd love to do that, and I think it would be so much fun because it would be really fan orientated. You would have to know the whole spectrum of Iron Maiden. You can't be a fair weather fan. You have to know the whole spectrum of what Iron Maiden's history is to know the significance of Paul and of me and of Bruce. And I think it would be great to get the three of us together.
Do you feel like your time of Iron Maiden, because people forget this, when you did join in '94, heavy metal itself was really on a downturn. You had the height of grunge, the height of sort of alternative indie metal.
It's worse than that, mate.
Yeah.
It's worse than that.
No, it wasn't just Iron Maiden that was suffering at the time, everybody was.
It's much worse than that. That was happening. Grunge was in. People weren't dressing up to go on stage. They were looking at the shoes, and it was okay to have suicidal thoughts and all of this business. And it was not a happy time for me coming from Wolfsbane. You know, being a fan of Iron Maiden. Like I was anti-grunge. You know, I liked some of the music, but the attitude was all wrong for me. I thought, why can't they have this great music without this attitude? Why do you have to hate Iron Maiden? Why can't you like Nirvana and like Iron Maiden? Why can't you like Soundgarden and like... It's nice, it's good music. Why do you have to have this... Oh, I don't like that. It's just wrong, man. And I think that was a part... Because they had that attitude, we started to split the scene. And we were small enough anyway.
It was almost like the Krang magazines as well.
Yeah.
They were very responsible for that as well.
It started to split the scene, and there was no going back from that. Also, what was happening is CD sales worldwide were going down. If you remember, that was when Metallica sued Napster, right?
Yeah.
And they got a lot of stick for that. But really, they were doing something which was right. However, the reason it seemed wrong is because they were millionaires. That's the only reason. What they were doing was right. They were stopping pirates. They were stopping people stealing stuff without permission. You know, so and what happened? Those CD sales started going down, and that's it. So all these artists, which had a part of their touring, they could put on these huge shows because they could supplement the tour with the CD sales. That started to hurt them, and there was no money coming from CDs. EMI closed down every factory in every country of the world that made CDs. EMI stopped making CDs. So this is it, man. That's the real story of what was happening. It's not just that heavy metal, but you know, our little genre of music was also. That's it. We're losing CD sales. So something's got to happen, man. Something has to adapt. So I was there in that time of fear and darkness in the music industry when there was so much paranoia around, and that was it, man. That was a very dark time.
So you did Maiden. Bruce went solo, but he was only playing down at the LA2 in London. You know, he wasn't playing the big arenas himself.
For me, it's a matter of I do it because I love to sing. I was in Iron Maiden because I love the music. I love to write, and to write with Steve Harris, Dave Murray and Yannick. It's fantastic to be in a rehearsal room with Nico McBrain and hear this small drum kit so loud, to feel at this distance the feeling of Nico McBrain playing the drums, to be at this distance from Dave Murray in a rehearsal room playing Fear of the Dark, and it's just, it's unreal, man, the feeling, it's incredible.
And just about the auditions, when your first audition of Iron Maiden, what songs did you do?
I can't remember, it was 10 of the songs that were almost always in the set. So, Iron Maiden, Wrathchild, Fear of the Dark, Seventh Son, Clairvoyant, Did I say Trooper?
No?
Hallowed be Thy Name. What, Number of the Beast.
No, it's basically got that whole live set.
It's the 10 songs that are the basis of the live set that always work around whatever the new album is. That always come in and out of the set. Those were the ones that you did. So it was a good hour. So I was like, I never thought in a million years I would get it. Never in a million mouth. This is never gonna. My voice is a world apart from it. Every time I practice a song, my voice would go. Ah! When I was at home, I was like, oh no, I'll never get this. But anyway, I just thought, right, for an hour, I am going to be the lead singer with Iron Maiden,
exactly.
And that was it. And I knew every drum fill as well, every drum fill and most of the bass runs. So I knew where it was. I'd learnt all of the drum fills as my cues for the different parts. So every time I was going, and he was looking at me like.
And was you aware of who you was up against? Was you aware of the other
No, not really.
Song?
No, I wasn't bothered about that. I didn't think of it as a competition. I never thought I'd get it. I never thought, but when I look back now, and because of the X Factor, and because of the album before the X Factor was.
No Prayer for Dying, was it?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't Fear of the Dark. It was the one after Fear of the Dark. It was No Prayer for the Dying. Sorry, No Prayer for the Dying. Yeah. Because if you listen to No Prayer for the Dying and you listen to the X Factor, you can see the progression. And Steve would often say to me, "I wish I could get you to sing some of these, No Prayer for the Dying songs because your voice is there." Because that's the music he was writing at the time. And what I felt was, obviously Steve had a big say in the selection, and I felt really that he wanted to change. That he'd been, and I think this is understandable, I got the feeling, been working with Bruce for so long vocally, that he really felt that he wanted a change, to try something else. And he had the opportunity now, because of Bruce leaving, to have a new vocalist, so why not choose a different kind of voice? And so we got those 2 albums, and and Best of the Beast, and I sang one of the songs that I really enjoyed singing from No Prayer for the Dying, a couple of those songs, and it just worked really, really well, I thought.
Do you feel in history like the X Factor and especially Virtual 11, those 2 albums unfairly get overlooked?
I don't know. What I know is that...
Because they are good albums.
Well, they are to many people who've got into them at the time as their first albums, as we all do. The first albums that we get into are ones that we absolutely live with forever. They always have that place in our heart, no matter what the production or whatever it was. We'll always live with them. And there's still those people, and then there are people that I meet that go back and go, I never gave it any chance at the time because I was such a fan of.
I suppose it's a bit like AC/DC and Axl Rose at the moment. People just can't accept it.
I never gave it any chance and all that, and they come and say, and then when I did give it a chance, because I'd listened to everything else ad nauseum, the only things I hadn't listened to death was X Factor and Virtual 11, and when I went back, then I found the magic. So I have that, and then also in Scandinavia, X Factor was the biggest album by Iron Maiden ever. Yeah, so Iron Maiden became the biggest they'd ever been in Sweden with me in. So there is a certain part of the darkness of that Swedish character and that X Factor album and their fucking long, the days that never go dark and the nights that never end. There's something in there that connection, that my voice and that beautiful music kind of comes out. And when the shows are promoted well there, it's just unbelievable. It's fantastic.
Because it's quite interesting. I think 2 days ago, Classic Rock Team Rock on their internet, they published like 10 best plays there at Iron Maiden songs. And it was interesting reading all the comments because so many fans had so many different songs. It's not like everyone's got 1 or 2. Like everybody's got a different favourite track, haven't they?
I think it's so personal, and because of what was happening around the band at the time and lyrically what was happening, then I think the lyrics on X Factor many of those lyrics are deeply personal and they look at dark things as well. So I think that's why people have different ones, because if you pick 2 a.m, I wrote that song when I did come back home from work at 2 a.m. after being a stagehand, shifting somebody else's gear around at Birmingham NEC, thinking, is that my musical career over? Now do I have to hump other band stuff around it? Will I ever sing again professionally? You know, that's where that song comes from. It's a real song, Judgment and Heaven, things that was happening to Steve in his life, you know, and all of that, man. So there's a lot of really deep ideas on there, which I think you can look at other albums that Maiden have done and other songs that have written up to that point, but I think that is that's where it starts to be. It is an album where I think people are, you know, as writers, yeah, you're still exploring external themes, but there's a lot of things where you're actually, you may not be saying it's me, but you are saying this is the way, this is what I'm going through, mate. This is the feeling that I'm having. And then I think as a listener, we then identify. We go, that's how I feel sometimes. Yeah, when I broke up with my girlfriend, that's how I felt. Or, you know, when my dad passed away, that's how I felt. Or, you know, all of these things that we all have to go through at some point in our life. I think X Factor connected a lot of those things. And for the people that could access that, because it wasn't the easiest album to listen to, when you could get to the music and get to that vocal, then I think it was one of those things. It's like coffee, you know, strong and black. If you're not used to coffee, it'll take a bit of getting used to. But once you're used to strong black coffee, you don't want anything else. That's it. So it's like that, you know.
And I was watching a great clip of you with Iron Maiden the other day. It was live in Chile.
Yeah.
I think 95, and you're talking about sort of you and Paul, you know, no one gets past you. And it's a great incident. I think there's a bit of trouble in the crowd. I think someone might have spat at you. And during the performance of the Trooper, there's you and Steve just giving the evil daggers to someone in the crowd. Can you tell us more about that incident?
Well, this is one of the most famous clips of Iron Maiden, not just me, on YouTube. And there is actually a whole gig. You can find the whole gig because Chilean television bootlegged the gig under the guise of being there for the news. they recorded the whole thing, and what happened was here we are on the stage. Okay, that's the stage like that. And you saw me getting terribly worked up. Here's the backstory, right? Iron Maiden were booked to play Chile 20 years earlier. The Catholic Church banned Iron Maiden. You are not playing in our country because you're devil worshippers, because they had Eddie and the devil on. And you know, the classic short-sighted thing, the thing that makes me an atheist is that. You know, so Maiden can't go to Chile. Bon Jovi's been to Chile. Metallic's been to Chile. Slayer's been to Chile. Black Sabbath have been to Chile, but never Iron Maiden. So the expectation of seeing the world's most important, in my opinion, heavy metal band is greater than you can possibly imagine. Right? So there we are backstage. We're backstage and the tour manager comes in and goes, 45 minutes. I go, great, that's my warm-up time. 10 minutes. I go, what? What's happened to 45 minutes? The support band's only done one song. I said, why? They've been bottled off. Heroes de Silencio from Spain. Great band. Great, really good band. Singing in Spanish. Right? Bottled off. The singer's got a cut on his head. Nobody wants, they know Iron Maiden are in the building. Nobody wants to wait 1 second longer than they have to see Iron Maiden. So we're like, oh, so it's edgy then. We're backstage, man. And you know when the lights go down, that roar that we hear and everything goes. Every one of us, we just looked at each other, the hairs are up on the back of the neck. I mean, you're talking about guys that have been on world tours everywhere, and we were all looking at each other like, wow, you can never forget that moment when the guys were down. That sound, it's incredible. We come on, it's like a 3-tier theatre, it's about 20,000 people indoors in this massive theatre, And Troopers early on in the set, and I'm looking over in the early part of the set, and I'm seeing Dave, and Dave backing off. Yannick's not going over towards Dave. Dave's not going up the front. And I think, what the hell's going on? First 3 numbers normally I'm locked in, concentrating, and so I went over towards that and I saw there was like 6 people and they were spitting. There's only 6 people spitting. So after the Trooper, I stopped the show.
Because for the whole song, you just look right in there.
I stopped the show and I said, look, there's 6 people spitting, there's 20,000 people up here, there's a bunch of people up there that will give their right arm to be where you are, and you're insulting us, and that, the only bit that you get is the bit where I go after that, go fuck off out of the gig, kill these guys, because for me, that was so disrespectful, not just to us as people, right, which you spit at an Englishman, that's it, you go for the next thing is it's coming for the knockout, but they were insulting the rest of the fans. Some of them were waiting 20 years to see Iron Maiden. So they were stopping us being able to do the best Iron Maiden show that we could possibly do. And what right have you 6 cunts got to stop us doing that? You haven't at all. So you don't belong here. Get out. And that's what happened, and they were arrested out, and we managed to calm down.
It was a classic moment. I think it's the only time I've ever seen Steve Harris take his face off.
Man, it was so, and you know, and Steve and I, because obviously he was my mentor, because I was doing gigs the size I'd never imagined, you know, before, and he would say, oh, and here, you know, be careful doing this here, and be careful of that, and when you say this, you know, don't mention this here, because that's they don't like that there, and all that, you know, so I didn't make the obvious, you know, faux pas that you would make as a young man being a lead singer, and one of the things we always talked about, well, not always talked about, but one of the things that came up occasionally was spitting. And I said, he said, Steve said, I can't stand spitting. So I knew he hated it as much as me, and I see it as a completely less disrespect. It's nothing to do with the music of Iron Maiden at all, right? It's not a punk band at all. It's nothing to do with it. So you forget it. You know, there's no, and the health issues, all 1,000 issues, I don't have to explain. It's just unacceptable to go spit in somebody's face. And it's even worse if you're stopping them doing their job, and 20,000 people have been waiting all this time to see him. So that was why we were so
wonderful. And like you say, it is the whole entire concert's on YouTube, so it is a great performance. It's excellent footage. So any Iron Maiden fans, just check Iron Maiden Chile 1995 and you see Blaze blazing.
I know, I look back and I go, oh man, I can't imagine being that way.
Before I wrap this interview up, I must talk to you about Wolfsbane actually, because that's the first time I saw you live. 1987, the old London Marquee Club at Wardour Street.
Oh man.
And what's your memories of that club? Because it was a beautiful.
It was the most important place in the world of music. It's that for us. As 4 young men from the Midlands, you know, living in Tamworth, to go where everyone, Iron Maiden, Van Halen, UFO, the Rolling Stones, Hendrix, anyone that you can possibly imagine in the history of popular music and rock, had played live at the Marquee, Wardour Street, London. You cannot overestimate the importance of getting your first support slot at the Iron Maiden Marquee, and we were lucky. We managed to get 7 support slots there, and before we headlined.
I think when I saw you, it was the first time you headlined actually. Belladonna supporting, and you had demo cassettes out.
Yeah, man, it was just incredible, and it's such a tragedy. Such a tragedy.
Should have been listed building.
It should have been. That is more important than Buckingham Palace to me. You know, in my life, you know, more important than Windsor Castle. I don't care. If Windsor Castle burns down, really, I don't care. You've got another castle. But there was only one marquee in the world.
And I love your passionate replies. You used to wear like a leather jacket in like checkered red and green spots.
I
believe it was stolen, didn't it?
No, I've still got that.
Oh, you still got it?
Yeah, no, what's happened, maybe what you've misunderstood something. that my stage gear from that I was wearing in Merthyr Tydfil, right, in South Wales, that's gone missing.
Oh.
My shirt and my trousers. Yeah. No, my jacket is at home in my wardrobe.
Still got the jacket, that's good.
Yeah. And it's been exhibited in a rock museum as well, and I've had it back from them. But yeah, no, my stage gear from that I was wearing in Merthyr Tydfil was gone, and I don't know if I've left it in the hotel or what. I've got to phone up. I've asked the drummer to phone the bloke in the hotel to see if anyone's found it. If it's lost or stolen, I don't know. Yeah. So I'm going on without a shirt now tonight.
And you know, like most people in life, you've had some personal tragedies in your life. You've had a bad motorbike crash. You sadly lost your first wife. Luckily, you found happiness again. You remarried. You got a family. But when you do get faced with such a bad tragedy in life, what sort of advice do you give to other people? How do you turn life into a positive?
I think I don't know. I suffer with depression, and I didn't know that. But after I found out that I suffered with depression. You know, my first wife said, "This is not right," because I was just in a state all the time. I was always on the edge of tears all the time. I didn't know why. And she took me to the doctors, and the doctor said, "Oh," he said, "do you do this?" He said, "I said, yeah." I said, "That's exactly." I told him, I said, "That's exactly." I said, "That's depression, and we have medication, and I think you should start on it." And I did start on that medication, and that did help. But I think the big thing was that once I knew that it was a thing, it wasn't just me. I didn't have to just endure these feelings, that there was actually, you could label it depression, so that was a thing that then you could do something about. That was the real change then. So even though I still had bouts of depression, and very, very serious in some points, if I could get through them, I could come out and go, right, I could start developing strategies for my mental health to keep me out of the place that is on the edge. It's like the event horizon, man, of the black hole. It's if you can see it coming, you can try to find a way around it, or just to avoid it. But if you're not aware that it's there, that's it. And you'll go there, and you won't know how to get out, and some people will kill you. So I've just been very lucky in my life that I've had a lot of support. And I've hung on. I've just hung on, and that's it. I'm no better than anybody else. I'm no tougher. I'm no stronger than anybody else. Everybody goes through tragedy. I lost my mom. I lost my dad and my grandmother. None of them saw me in Iron Maiden, and it was just a bitter thing to me. Such a bittersweet thing to be in Iron Maiden, and my mother, who supported me all those years, never doubted when I doubted myself that I could be a good singer, that she never saw me at the peak of what I could do.
Are you a spiritual person? You mentioned earlier you're sort of atheist, but are you spiritual in any way?
Yeah, I am spiritual. Atheist, I suppose, is just a rejection of the conformity of modern religion and terrorism, really. I reject this as a way to live, and I reject the idea that human beings cannot be moral without religion. I absolutely reject that. Human beings will be moral if they have good mothers and fathers to guide them. That is what it is. Innately, human beings are good. Most human beings are good. And I find that I work all around the world with all different cultures, people that don't know me from Adam, don't know me as a famous singer, all kinds of things. Most human beings are good. That's it, right? Whatever they say, that's the truth. We don't need anybody to tell us to be good or bad. We don't need it. Most of us are good, and we'll find a way through.
Like it's like anywhere in the world.
To get it. I am spiritual, and nothing yet has disproved this belief. Infinite entanglement is the infinite going out, but the entanglement is what's in quantum physics that the two particles, once they are together, are always connected. And I think, in a way, well, if we're composed, if these particles exist in us, we are connected. We're all made from carbon. The carbon comes from the stars. We look at the stars. There's what the stuff that we're made of in little bits and pieces. We know now that there are quantum particles that are always connected, and they don't send a message to each other. They know where they are in relation to each other all of the time. And so, just as microwaves were predicted, and then when radio telescopes pointed to the sky after World War II, they were found, microwaves were found. Just as the Higgs boson particle was predicted, and so it's found, the place is found. Then I think that there is a telepathy, and there is a structure, and consciousness is far more important than science would have us believe. And I don't believe that what I'm looking at is actually something that's going on in the back of my mind, because it's like, no, I don't believe that at all. What I believe is my consciousness is aware of this environment, and that's an Eastern philosophy that they've had many, many years before Christianity. And I think the contemporary religions of the West are very good at stamping out ideas that don't agree with them in the early days, and that's the spirituality. I feel that there is a connection, and there is a higher consciousness. That, I don't know if that fits with being an atheist, but I'm an atheist more to reject what you say. And here's something that I think this will blow your mind. What if there's no hell? Look, forget that. Forget the heaven. Forget that. But what if there's no hell? And I think that is that's what the established religions are really afraid of. It's not if you're good you can go to heaven. I think if they can't threaten you with hell, they just can't control you. And that is what it is. And so that's why I reject it. And so I don't talk about it much on stage or anything like that, because, to be honest, even though I have my beliefs, whatever you are, you can have your beliefs. As long as you don't as long as you don't try and make me believe what you believe when I say no thanks, then it's fine with me. You believe what you believe, I'll believe what I believe, and live and let live.
And that sort of brings us back to the original start of this interview, Infinite Entanglement. Looking forward to the trilogy of it all. Blaze, it's been wonderful talking to you.
Well, thanks for coming.
We can talk a lot more, but wish you all the best for the future. And have you got any last message for your fans?
I'd just like to say thank you so much for the support. I haven't done this on my own. I haven't been able to do this. I've had a lot of help along the way. And my fans have been so loyal, and good or bad, they have bought everything that I've done. They've come to every tour, and they've supported me, and now I feel I'm doing the best work that I've ever done in my musical career, and I've only could do that because of the support of my loyal fans. So I just want to say thank you to my fans in the UK and all around the world that support me. They buy every limited edition, every advanced copy. I just got to say thank you to everybody for supporting me, for making it possible after all of these years to live my dream that I had when I was 18, to be a professional singer, singing heavy metal and touring the world. And there I was as a young man, and now here I am as an old man, and I'm doing it, I'm living that dream, and it's a rare and very, very precious thing. There's not many, as a percentage of musicians and people that want to be professional and want to play music for a living. It's just very few of us are able to do it, and I think it's an absolute privilege, and I'm awarded that privilege by my fans because they believe in me, and I'm very grateful for that. So thank you from my heart to all of my fans who've supported me.
Brilliant. Like, it's been wonderful talking to you again, and I wish you all the best for the future. Take care. Thank you.